News leader, this is the MTN 10 o'clock news.
Good evening and thanks for joining us tonight. I'm Russ Riesinger, saying the country can't wait any longer to address the climate crisis. President Biden today signed executive orders that prioritize climate change across all levels of government. Now, the Biden plan essentially offers a roadmap to transform the nation's fossil fuel-powered economy into a clean burning one. But it comes with great political risk as oil and coal-producing states face significant job losses. Q2's Jay Cohn takes a closer look.
Well, there's plenty of rhetoric to go around today. It seems like all sides on this issue are speaking with bullhorns. But through the fog, three major takeaways for the states of Montana and Wyoming. Fracking will not be banned. In fact, the president pledged millions of dollars to plug abandoned oil and gas wells across the country. The state of North Dakota has been using COVID relief dollars to do just that. And now it looks like the effort might be replicated across the nation to the tune of thousands of jobs. The president's order halting all new oil and gas leases will not end fossil fuel extraction as we know it. The industry has already accumulated thousands of leases that remain undeveloped. Those leases are not affected by the moratorium. Here in Montana, 67% of the acreage leased by the BLM has yet to be developed. And the president vowed to help coal miners and coal communities during this time of transition away from fossil fuels, saying, quote, "We will stand by those workers," as he pledged federal help to retrain miners and rebuild coal-based communities. Many of these same issues were front and center this morning as Energy Secretary nominee Jennifer Granholm was before the Senate Energy and Natural Resources Committee in her confirmation hearing. Both Senators John Barrasso of Wyoming and Steve Daines of Montana pressed Granholm about the potential job losses as a result of the moratorium. And Senator Daines asked specifically that the Colstrip Power Complex be considered by the Department of Energy as a potential test site for carbon capture technology. In Billings, I'm Jay Cohn reporting for MTN News.
Thanks, Jay. Oil and gas producers strongly oppose Biden's moratorium and are expected to challenge the order in court. Montana Senator Daines is already vowing to introduce legislation to reverse the moratorium. As for Energy Secretary nominee Jennifer Granholm, her confirmation is expected to come up for a vote in the Senate within a week. Well, the Department of Homeland Security issued a threat bulletin due to the ongoing potential for violence in the wake of the presidential inauguration. Concerns include domestic extremists who may be emboldened by the January 6th attack on the U.S. Capitol. Acting DHS Secretary David Pekoski issued the National Terrorism Advisory System Bulletin. He issued the alert after he said information suggests that some ideologically motivated violent extremists, fueled by false narratives, could continue to mobilize to incite or commit violence. Today's bulletin is set to expire in April. Tonight, more details surrounding an attempted abduction in Lockwood and high-speed chase down I-94 yesterday. 34-year-old Terry Smith is being held on 3 felony charges, including kidnapping, as the woman he allegedly tried to abduct is recovering from injuries. Sheriff Mike Linder tells us Smith tried to kidnap a woman he didn't know. Luckily, the woman was able to fight him off and another citizen stepped in to help. When sheriff's deputies located the stolen vehicle in Huntley, a chase ensued. Montana Highway Patrol reports Smith eluded a first set of spike strips, ended up driving east in the westbound lane for several miles. At one point, an MHP trooper attempted an unsuccessful pit maneuver, which returned Smith into the proper lane for a short time, but he got back into the wrong lane for another 10 miles. One of the spike strips finally disabled the car. Smith then took off on foot but was apprehended near the Pompey's Pillar exit. Well, a new crime wave in Billings takes thieves moments to do, but it's having an expensive impact on businesses and residents. In the last 6 months, companies with fleet vehicles are being forced to unload thousands of dollars on repairs. Thieves are stealing catalytic converters off of vans and trucks. And as Q2's Andrea Lutz reports, this item serves as a precious commodity for recyclers.
Stolen. I've had customers that have cars that have had the converter stolen off of them in Rimrock Mall. A couple of the local church vans.
At Silent Night Custom Exhaust, owner Terry Collette holds a stack of invoices.
It's a lot of people's heartbreak And I don't know what the cure is.
This is how many catalytic converters he's repaired in just 1 month. But this new epidemic of crime
Approximately 140 cars
has been plaguing Billings
In what amount of time?
since August.
for months. Terry says these days a catalytic converter is a precious commodity.
The material that's inside of it is a precious trio of material. I believe it's platinum, palladium, and rhodium. It's almost infinitely recyclable.
Which draws big bucks in a matter of minutes with the use of a small hand tool.
Usually it's in the dark. They can crawl under something that's not very visible.
Lieutenant Brandon Woolley shows us where they've been tracking stolen items from in recent months. Most are commercial businesses with fleet vehicles.
Pickups, vans, SUVs. The catalytic converters are bigger, which can contain more of the precious metal that it has value to it. Those vehicles have higher ground clearances. That is easier for them to get underneath.
And local businesses are paying the price. Even downtown at our news station, an engineering truck of ours got hit. That's on top of Billings Public Works saying 4 of their converters were stolen off vehicles. And at a local county salvage yard, 30 of them were stolen off vehicles there.
Police say tracking this crime is near impossible because of no serial numbers.
This all kind of falls back to some of the drug trade too a little bit, is people are stealing this stuff to get money to support some type of a habit.
So here's what police say you should do. Keep your security cameras rolling in a well-lit area. Park your vehicle inside a garage if you can, or somewhere difficult for a thief to get underneath, because it can happen quite quick.
They can make a few $100 for 2 minutes worth of work and unlikely to get caught.
In Billings, Andrea Lutz, MTN News.
Thanks, Andrea. And police say look for anything suspicious. They say thieves nabbing large catalytic converters will need a large vehicle to do so, such as a pickup truck or van. And if you've got any information, you're asked to call Billings Police and report it. All right, now over to Chief Meteorologist Ed McIntosh. And if you're heading outside, there's something in the evening sky that might catch folks' gaze, huh?
That's right. As a matter of fact, our own director, Marcus Boyer, has been tracking this, which is a little bit harder to do when you consider it on the Stockman Bank weather cam. But a full moon tonight, and in fact, a chance to be able to check that out through the evening tonight and again tomorrow. It actually turns full around lunchtime tomorrow, so we've got one more night to check it out. There's also a couple of brighter stars. It's a little hard to see with some of the haze that's out there tonight from the constellation Gemini. This is the Wolf Moon, or the name I like, the center moon from the Assiniboine, who call it the center moon because it's right towards the center of winter. And we'll let you know if the winter weather will be affecting how we look at that full moon here with the forecast coming up in a few minutes.
Thank you, Ed. Montana lawmakers are considering a bill that would limit when a business can be cited for failing an alcohol compliance check, or STING. MTN's Jonathan Ambarian reports on the possible changes.
Senate Bill 129 would change the rules around contrived events when a law enforcement agency sends an underage person into a business to try to buy alcohol. SB 129, sponsored by Republican Senator Greg Hertz of Polson, would stop the Montana Department of Revenue from issuing a violation to a business that fails one of those checks, unless it is their third failing in a 3-year period. Representatives of bars, convenience stores, and other businesses say they understand the value of these checks as a way to make sure employees are following proper procedure, but that there have been a growing number of violations linked to them.
What it should be, these should be learning opportunities. This is an opportunity for the checkers to make sure they're doing their job well. It's an opportunity for the employers to make sure that the policies and procedures they put in place to prevent alcohol access by minors are working.
Joe McKenney, who formerly owned the Cartwheel Casino and Liquor Store in Great Falls, said his business went through 4 to 6 alcohol compliance checks a year. He said the effect of failing one is too great for what is usually a simple mistake.
I'm happy to say we never fail. I don't know how, because human error happens.
Current state law lets the Department of Revenue consider mitigating or aggravating circumstances when deciding what penalty to give a license holder. One mitigating factor is if the violation comes from a sting. Leaders said Wednesday that their policy is to give a reprimand to the business for the first failed check. The Department of Revenue reported about 400 compliance checks last fiscal year. About 20% were failed. This bill wouldn't change the individual responsibility for an employee who made an unlawful sale. They could still receive a citation. Here in Lewis and Clark County, the Sheriff's Office says they would typically give a warning for the first violation. In Helena, Jonathan Amberian, MTN News.
Well, Senate Bill 129 had its first hearing in the Senate Business and Labor Committee today, but the committee did not take any action. Montana Governor Greg Gianforte will appear on Montana This Morning tomorrow around 6:30 a.m. Gianforte will preview his first State of the State address, which is scheduled for 7 o'clock tomorrow night, and discuss his first few weeks in office. Once again, that is tomorrow morning around 6:30 on Montana This Morning. On the national scene, Pope Francis marked Holocaust Remembrance Day by warning that warped ideologies can pave the way to another mass extermination. Francis spoke off the cuff at the end of his weekly general audience to commemorate the 76th anniversary of the liberation of the Auschwitz death camp in Poland, where Nazis killed more than 1 million Jews and others. The Argentine Pope insisted on the need to remember, saying it was a sign of humanity and civilization and a condition for a peaceful future. But he said remembering also means to be aware that these things can happen again. Still ahead on the MTN 10 o'clock news here on Q2, Montana is known for its farms and ranches, but it's not exactly known for these types of animals. We'll meet Carlos the camel coming up next. And a little later, the Falcons of Skyview are once again flying high to start the new season. We'll meet one of the igniters behind their fast start in just a bit.
From Montana's news leader, you're watching the MTN 10 o'clock news.
Well, Montana is known for its cattle ranches in all corners of the state, but there's a different type of ranch in the Flathead Valley. There you'll not only find yaks, but on this hump day, MTN's Jordan Johnson also introduces us to Carlos the camel.
Here in Montana, there are many exotic mammals that you may not see, but here at Springbrook Yak Ranch, there's Carlos, a Bactrian camel, which are found in the wild in the Gobi Desert.
And that's one of the harshest environments on the planet, and so fits right in with where we live.
Jim Watson inherited the yak ranch from his father-in-law and got Carlos during a trade for a yak heifer and bull from a ranch in Colorado. 7 years later, the lovable camel has members of the community that stop by just to see him.
And he really does have his own fan club that people just come and go and bring him treats and say hello and love on him.
Watson is especially close to Carlos.
He's my pet. We like each other.
The Springbrook Ranch doesn't just keep the 7-foot camera-loving camel to themselves. They partnered with Reuter Elementary in Columbia Falls, giving tours of the ranch to 500 to 600 students before the pandemic.
This year, of course, with COVID, we did no tours at all.
But Watson says being able to connect with each of the animals on the ranch, from his yaks to miniature horses to Carlos, makes ranching livestock a little more special.
Agriculture is different when you're not trying to make a living at it.
Watson and Novak hope to be able to start up the education program again in May. In Kalispell, Jordan Johnson, MTN News.
All right, up next in weather, Ed says our warm-up didn't quite arrive today, but it may be literally blowing in tonight. Your full 7-day forecast coming up after the break.
Storm Tracker weather starts now with meteorologist Ed McIntosh.
Welcome back as we take a look with the Stockman Bank weather cam here. You can see just a little bit of a haze around as we take a look across the region tonight with that full moon out there. Temperatures today made it all the way up to 28 degrees. We're still shy of average for this time of the year. That would be a little closer to those mid-30s, but we have the fog and then we have the low clouds that kind of hung around and held us back from picking up anything as far as temperatures, and also didn't see much for any new precipitation either. Want to share a couple of pictures with you. Greg, this great picture from over the weekend out between Cody and Yellowstone National Park, and then also just with those great colors this morning with the frost. It was just a beautiful start to the day. Makes you want to go out, you can just feel the great breath of fresh air when you step out the door. Now here's how it looks. We're going to be warming the temperatures up into the 40s all the way through early next week. Particularly warm Monday may even be close to 50 degrees. Friday night into Saturday we pick up a few showers around the area. Could maybe pick up a ½ inch to about an inch in the lower elevations, a little more for the mountains. And then looking at those temperatures warming up until it starts to turn colder. Now, it was plenty chilly this morning. We had readings below 0 in areas of northeastern Montana, 2 below in Wolf Point. Miles City, you had a chilly start as well, all the way down to 21 below over in Minot, North Dakota. That 14 in Billings first thing in the morning was actually one of the warmer temperatures to start off the day. And now we're looking at some teens across the areas from the High Line from Cut Bank over to Williston. We'll see some additional areas of fog and haze through the evening hours, but the winds are starting to pick up. Livingston right now with 33 degrees, seeing a 35-mile-per-hour wind gusts occasionally, pushing out towards Big Timber, and that's helping to hold the temperatures up. Notice the winds are coming out of the southwest now, and that's going to help to start to boost those temperatures up even overnight heading into tomorrow. So this little push of clouds moved through earlier in the day. Now we're going to be focusing a little bit more on southwest Montana for some additional snowfall. Already seeing some of that as we start looking into the mountain passes. All of this coming up from this big storm system that's bringing in very heavy rain through portions of California. Some of this could cause some flooding into some of the burn scar areas from those wildfires from last year, and then very heavy snow into the Sierras where we could be looking at feet of new snow. It's been coming down rather hard there. So here's the setup for us. We got a high pressure area building in the warmer temperatures, tapping into that moisture that's pushing across southwest Montana. The high pressure area will continue to warm the temperatures heading into tomorrow, so we should see some temperatures in the 30s and 40s at or warmer than average across most of the eastern portion of the state. Continuing to hold those temperatures up on Friday, but as we go from Friday night into Saturday, that's where we start to see some of those mountain showers push off into the plains, and at least a scattering of showers to start the day on Saturday. It doesn't look like very much, but it's our best chance here in the short term of any moisture. Temperatures into the teens across the eastern plains early tomorrow. Teens 20s from Billings towards the west, where the winds are going to be a little more of a deal first thing. And then tomorrow we'll be looking at temperatures to be in the 30s and 40s. Again, the winds aren't going to be particularly gusty into the areas of the mountain foothills, but they'll certainly be breezy at times. Gusts could hit 35 to 45 miles per hour. Across the state, looking at 30s and 40s tomorrow with additional snowfall as we start looking down into areas into the southwest portion of the state. So we'll be looking at temperatures warming up into the 40s as we get into the next couple of days. And in the extended outlook, those temperatures stay in the 40s, maybe near 50 on Monday before the cooler temperatures arrive. And that does it for weather.
Where does the information you see, particularly on social media, come from? And how do you know it's legitimate and something that you should share? All this week we've been looking at the problem of fake news and information as part of National News Literacy Week. Every day we are bombarded with information. New technology brings it to us faster than ever before, seldom pausing to separate fact from fiction.
The question is, are we presenting people with the truth, the facts, those things that seem to be most crucial, and especially for people who are not very critical consumers of what they take in?
Dr. John Caputo is co-founder of the Northwest Alliance for Responsible Media. He's a former communication professor of mine at Gonzaga University, where he taught media literacy.
Primarily, media has been seen as a one-way megaphone. The reality of that, social media has sort of changed that and put the megaphone in a lot of people's hands who don't care about the truth or who don't care. In fact, their job is to obfuscate the facts and obfuscate the truth.
The amount of misinformation being spread on social media is simply staggering and growing, with more people getting info and sharing it from unreliable or dubious sources.
It's been building, and now we're at this spot where it's hard to believe.
Crisis right now?
Yeah, I would say we are at a crisis in the United States. You know, there's a question I ask is, are the media we use a unifying factor in our society, or are they fragmenting society?
Being able to distinguish real facts and objective journalism from fiction, opinion, and propaganda can be more difficult than ever. That's why Q2 and our parent company, Scripps, are shining a light on news literacy this week. Where do you go to get your news and information?
Scrolling through Facebook, obviously you get a lot of news sources there. I watch the news. I watch Newsmax Live with my fiance every other night or something like that. Really, any social medias, I'll look at anything on there.
For my news sources, I get a lot from Facebook.
We showed students at MSUB one of the news literacy quizzes you can find right now on KTVQ.com to see if they could tell false or misleading social media posts from those that are credible and whether they would be safe to share, like this one purportedly from President Trump.
I would say it was A, just because I did follow his Twitter page for a while.
No, actually this was a satire page.
Kind of sounds like something he would say, but at the same time, I'm gonna say it was false.
You're right, that's a satire page.
I think it has a destabilizing effect. One of the negative effects is that people just lose trust in institutions.
Dr. Jason Atkins is a political science professor at MSUB. He teaches media literacy as part of a course on American government.
We look at not only the effects of media on public opinion, but where to look for information. What do we look for reporting? Are we looking for sources that do original reporting, or when you look at sources, is it just opinion-based? And when we teach, bear in mind, we don't teach, which sources people should look at. Students do have their choice, and they have various political perspectives. But at least we want to give them the info, like where could they go to find, original reporting that's fact-based instead of some of this, quoting these conspiracy theories that really aren't based in reality.
See, the old journalistic thing, if your mother said you did it, double check, see where this is coming from, because it could be false, and we get lots and lots of false information.
Something more important than ever as we navigate the rising flood of information that surrounds us each day.
We've got a lot more information on this story on ktvq.com. There you'll find a link to some tools along with quizzes where you can test your own news literacy. We'll be right back with a look at sports. On the high school scene, Skyview's basketball guys are off to an entertaining start, already with convincing crosstown wins over Senior and West. Scott takes a closer look at one of the spark plugs helping lead this charge.
Sanders running point with time expiring in the half. How about the alley-oop lob to Koba, who lays it in at the horn? Skyview guard Peyton Sanders is fun to watch. Doesn't matter if he's canning threes, assisting, or locking guys down on D. He is almost always active.
I just want to try and be as intense as I can and get in your face and make you as uncomfortable as you can as a defender.
He's just a special player. I mean, to be one of the only juniors, the only junior into that major senior role, and to take it like he has and to be developed like that, his body control is some of the best I've ever seen, and I've coached a lot of good guards.
Defensively, Sanders is that fly in the ointment, constantly disrupting set plays. Offensively, a little more like magic in the 80s Showtime Lakers, delivering seamless no-look passes, and not just once in a while.
I mean, he does them in practice too, so I mean, it's not like he's just doing them, pulling them out in games for just to surprise people.
In family, Sanders didn't fall far from the tree. His dad, Ben, a standout years ago at Colstrip, then at Rocky, delivered that same toughness on both ends of the court. Peyton says sometimes he'll dig into those archives and watch a little vintage video of Dad running the court. Asked how much fun they have on the side with a little rivalry hoops.
Yeah, not anymore though. I kind of get the best of him now. He's getting a little old.
Now a junior, just a couple years ago, Sanders was actually the first freshman head coach Kevin Morales had ever called up to varsity. Here's what Morales said he saw to pull the trigger on that move.
His overall body control is impressive, and his handle, and when you look in his eyes, those type of players, it's just that fierce competitiveness that you don't see very often.
Here's how Sanders remembers the call up.
The original story is he put me on sophomore for 2 games, and then after those 2 games, I scored like 30 each, and then he moved me up to JV. And then from there, it just started swinging.
More money for Sanders. Skyview up 31-12. Sanders says his guy in the NBA is Portland's Dame Lillard, who made the leap from Weber State in the Big Sky Conference to franchise player and NBA All-Star. If that's what the opposition must guard against this year and next, it's not a very fun thought, unless you're just there to watch. Scott Breen, MTN Sports.
All right, thanks, Scott. Skyview's next game tomorrow night at Great Falls High should be a good one. Both teams 4-1. All right, before we go, we want to check back in with Ed McIntosh for a final look at the weather. Ed?
Yeah, we just couldn't break out of the fog first thing in the morning along with some of the low clouds. But tomorrow, as we start off in the 20s, we have a good chance of making upper 30s to low 40s by later in the day. We will see a little bit of increase in clouds by tomorrow afternoon. There will be some wind in the mountain foothills, but really not a big deal around Billings. Friday night into Saturday is our best chance in the short term of picking up maybe a little bit of light snow. Temperatures really warm up, especially by early next week. By Monday, upper 40s to even low 50s are reachable for a high, but a downswing in the temperatures next week. You see Wednesday pushing down upper 20s to around 30 degrees, and it looks like we're going to get trapped in some colder air, and that means a chance of some snow. We could really use some snow up into the mountains, so good news there, but we will get a little colder and have the possibility of some snow showers for the lower elevations as well, Russ. So we'll see a definite change. If you like the warmer temperatures, this week is for you. If you like the cold and the snow, wait till next week.
All right, thank you, Ed. Thank you for joining us. Hope you have a great night. We're back bright and early tomorrow, starting at 5 a.m.